Hi, and welcome to the Liberators channel. On this segment of Metaphysical Mondays, which is a conversation on the intersections between hip hop, anime, and metaphysics, I want to cover a few videos that deal with life force energy, siphoning this energy for biological purposes as well as spiritual purposes as well. So we'll get right into that. Hip hop, anime, and metaphysics, and I'll tie it all back in at the end of this video. But I like to make mention that most of my videos highlight the experiences of targeted individuals subjected to the federal targeted individual program, subject to torture and inhumane treatment. And unfortunately, one of the main reasons is for data collection to make way for this artificial world that the elites are building and this transhumanistic era that we're merging towards.
We are literally going viral.
Let's go big or go home.
The self and a deeper understanding about mental health. The doctor prescribed the physical.
Let
me ask you a question. I know you're asking me the questions, but I just want to talk a little bit about the AI. And you said something about trying to put the emotion in it.
Yeah.
Right? So are you thinking there's an algorithm for emotion?
Yes. But I think emotion isn't something that there's a algorithm for a particular system. We create emotions together. So emotion is something like this conversation. It's like magic we create together. So I've worked with quite a few robots. I've a very simple version of that. I've had Roomba vacuum cleaners. I've had them make different sounds, and one of them is like screaming in pain, like lightly, and just having them do that when you kick them or when they run into stuff, immediately I start to feel something for them.
So the emotion. Okay, so the emotion you're saying is imposed back on the human.
Yeah.
But I'm asking, do you think there's an algorithm for the emotion to be imposed from machine to machine?
Yeah, that's a really good way to ask it. It's difficult because I think ultimately I only know how to exist in the human world. Right. So it's the question of if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to see it, does it still fall? I still think that ultimately machines will have to show emotion to other humans, and that's when it becomes real.
I've been thinking.
So in this conversation with Reza, they talked about giving machines this human aspect so that they understand what it means to suffer and grieve like a human being. But something that's rarely mentioned is how are they collecting this data and what sources is it coming from? Targeted individuals experience gang stalking, they experience living in this simulated reality where a variety of scenarios come to unfortunately trigger the subject, torture the subject, and play on their emotions. But this data is being siphoned and collected through supercomputers.
That is running today on torture energy. We are keeping billions of animals in concentration sphere, not based on love, but based on different emotions. This is what they kind of introduced to this planet. So the first things that came from the black magic rituals was blood and fire sacrifice. Ritually killing animals to gain this biophoton burst that is emitted when a being dies in pain. To, on one hand, feed the demons. This is what they needed to survive as beings. That they didn't have a biology of their own, so they needed to feed on life force in a certain way. And on the other hand, some of the energy extracted by these rituals is also used to pay the people sacrificing, because they want to have worldly power. So if you want to have worldly power and gain profit, you need ways and means to control other people. And this painful emission of life force when you kill somebody can, if you know the game of black magic, can be used to force other people to do things they do not want to force, because facing these energies is extremely painful.
So how does what Hierarchos Vela is talking about connect to machine learning and torture energy? Well, on a biological level, as Lex Fridman mentioned, with those robots that he had, he was trying to teach them what it means to suffer and grieve just like human beings do. When Riza asked questions regarding, okay, well, how do we put the human emotion into these robots, these small computers? And unfortunately, it's through a torture aspect. It's through using human subjects and other forms of biological life form to siphon the energy so that machines can learn through artificial intelligence how to have those human aspects. So, a side note here, Hierarchos Vela mentioned that there's a spiritual component as well. In demonology, the demons feed off of life force energy because they do not have a biology of their own. So, when a being dies or experiences suffer or torment, those bursts of biophotons serve as food or loosh for those demons to survive. The reason I wanted to play those two videos side by side is because as unique as the human force is, there are other entities trying to learn us, replicate us, and feed off of us for their own gain. As we merge into this transhumanistic era, there are entities trying to make this world become more artificial. And in doing that, they are taking human energy and human data collected through computational simulations to teach machines, or machine learning, which is a branch of artificial intelligence, teach them the human way to ultimately replace humanity with these machines and robots. And on the flip side, on a spiritual level, demons are feeding off of human energy because they exist as a consciousness communicating with black magicians but do not possess a biology of their own. So for their own survival, they need to feed off of biological life. So in two ways here, the humanity is being exploited by data collection, and then on the flip side, being exploited through torture, serving the purpose to be used as food for demons. This connects to the Federal Targeted Individual Program because unfortunately many of us who are targeted individuals are subjected to not only being connected to these supercomputers by way of brain and computer interface and wireless body area networks, but also as subjects to black magic. And this is the future of humanity if we don't collectively join together and talk about the ways in which humanity is being enslaved so that we recognize our power as humanity to transcend this rather than be further enslaved with this biotechnology trying to interface with humanity, literally interface with human beings to ultimately replace humankind. This is a list of patents that are currently being used against targeted individuals to manipulate us biologically, psychologically, manipulate our consciousness in different frequencies. And this is all by way of energy manipulation, right? So interestingly enough, we're here in the age of Aquarius representing, aside from energy, ETs, brain to computer interface, robots. And in this transhumanistic era where targeted individuals are the subjects for the transhumanistic era ahead, we have to be aware that I'm not only sharing this because it's personal to me, but this is the future and what the elites have planned for humanity and ways to enslave humanity by way of technology, particularly biotechnology. So we have to be mindful. And so how does this all connect back to the theme of anime, hip hop, and metaphysics? Well, stay tuned and I'll have more information for you.